I am a trans person, and I'm an alumna of the University of Dallas from the 80s.
You're listening to the CobCast. I'm Cobb, and this is the cast. The University of Dallas, a Catholic school, is standing by one of its professors after he wrote a post online that criticized President Joe Biden's decision to appoint a trans woman, Dr. Rachel Levine, as Assistant Secretary at the Department of Health and Human Services. Levine could make history as the first openly trans federal official to be confirmed by the Senate. That didn't sit well with UD's chair of its political philosophy department, David Upham. In a now-deleted Facebook post, Upham identified Levine by her former name, repeatedly referred to her as a male, and described her as being surgically mutilated in her transition to becoming a trans woman. A trans graduate of the university, who met their wife of over 33 years there and whose children attended the college, took offense to the post and penned an open letter asking UD to get rid of Upham. That graduate is Bethany A. Beeler, an author and UD alumna.
Hello, Cobb.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. I really appreciate you taking the time. She usually doesn't seek out controversy like this, but when some people showed her Upham's post, she said she felt she had to respond. The professor teaches classes on constitutional law and civil rights and advises pre-law students at the college. Beeler said given the recent riot at the Capitol, it is important to scrutinize people's remarks and their potential to incite hatred and violence.
And Cobb, I've seen these statements come from the mouths of so many folks who are just trying to gin up a voter base or whatever. But this was my alma mater, and you may have some of the sense of the kind of specialness of UD, and folks who go there really do believe in it. Even those transported from 30, 40 years ago really do believe in its aspirations. So when I saw these things posted, Cobb, I said, okay, this, the university cannot countenance this. And I told the group, I will be glad to write a letter. If you wish to undersign it, that's fine. If no one undersigns it, I don't care. I will gladly send it on.
Just to reiterate, Beeler doesn't ignore Upham's right to free speech. Of course, he has the right to say, more or less, whatever he wants, especially on his own social media. She's worried that this rhetoric is being spouted during Upham's classes.
My biggest concern, Cobb, was for the safety of current LGBTQIA+ students who are there. They were there in 1985 when I graduated. I had 2 different gay roommates, and they're still there now. And comments like what Professor Upham made, evidence that he felt very free espousing things like that in the classroom, and I would know this because I've taught in the university classroom.
I tried reaching out to Upham to get his side of all this. One of the questions I posed to him was whether or not he shared similar views in his lectures, but he declined to comment. As mentioned before, the university came to Upham's defense. The university basically said that it was going to uphold Catholic teachings, including the Church's views on human sexuality. They also said they will protect the civil rights of all members of the college's community. But Beeler said nothing in Catholic teaching addresses trans identity.
There is, in the Catechism and in Catholic dogma and doctrine, I guarantee you this, I have a Master of Divinity in theology, I guarantee you there is nothing in Catholic teaching regarding trans identity of any sort. It was not and has not been a concept that has been treated by the Western theological tradition ever. And the closest we can come to it is the Congregation on Catholic Education about 6 years ago released a statement about gender theory, which was really attacking feminist gender theory. And Pope Francis also issued some off-the-cuff statements about transgender ideology being an abomination. But one has to understand that such statements are not part of Catholic teaching. This is something, quite simply, that the Catholic Church has never truly weighed upon. So there is no statement, despite what some folks want to insist. They will quote the scripture from Genesis, and God created them man and woman. But what they forget there, Cobb, is it's not or, it's and. Man and woman. And that's in translation even. I don't know if I'm fishing in depths that are going to be way beyond what most readers would be willing to hear as a catchable soundbite. But what I'm trying to simply say is this is not a settled matter in Catholic teaching by any stretch of the imagination, such that a university politics professor would be able to gleefully weigh in on it as if it's a done deal, such that he can rip apart someone who has been appointed by the president in a position of health, not trans activism. Dr. Rachel Levine is a pediatrician who has led the state of Pennsylvania in its response to the COVID pandemic. And to rip her for being trans, simply being trans, without any reference to her credentials or qualifications, is an ad hominem fallacy of the worst possible degree that anyone with a JD like Dr. Upham has would know better. But that's not what Dr. Upham apparently was up to. I don't know what he was up to. All I know is such statements create an atmosphere in which LGBTQIA+ persons in the university community cannot feel safe.
Beeler said that in the 80s, when she attended, UD had a very don't ask, don't tell environment. Despite this, Beeler spoke fondly of the university. She called it one of the few places left that honestly seeks the truth without apology.
The University of Dallas is a complicated place. It's a very formative place, that leaves its mark on individuals for decades thereafter, in a good way. I will say that, in a good way. It is one of the few places left that honestly and very naively, in some ways, seeks the pursuit of truth without apology. And it makes us as graduates who and what we are, regardless of what we learn thereafter. And that's the key. The University of Dallas teaches students to learn how to learn so that they can take the education when they enter the real world and apply it to their particular situations. I merely ask the university that if you claim to be pursuing the truth, shouldn't that pursuit of truth be made accessible and safe to all the members of our community?
Beeler said there wouldn't be any immediate changes as a result of her letter, and it's because change takes time.
I did not expect a speedy or any response from the administration. I'll explain it to you in terms of this. Policy of a university like the University of Dallas lags far behind the experience of its students, staff, faculty at the time. So the policy that will be birthed by a letter like this won't be seen for another 10 or 20 years. And I fully expected that. However, I have been in personal communication with change agents at the university who get it, Cobb. They get it. And they have been working towards this. But it's not something that in an organization or an organism like the University of Dallas that is realized in a brilliant flash. It takes time. And my letter was merely there to alert folks, hey, you who are fighting the battle within, okay, there are people outside in the alumni community and elsewhere who understand, and this is our, how can I say it, this is our contribution.
Another graduate I spoke to told me she felt Upham's statements devalued her experience and the degree she received from the college. But Upham still works there. I'm Jacob Vaughn, a journalist based out of North Texas. Some people call me Cobb, and this is the CobCast. Thanks for listening.